Okay, well, I just want to thank you all for being here today. Unfortunately, I've already messed it up. Hold on. Okay, unfortunately, I know you're going to introduce me though. I forgot. Come introduce me because I'll roll right over you. I'm so sorry. I've got a lot of problems.
Hi, I'm Susie Englewood. I work here at System Office and Curriculum Management. I'd like to introduce Ginger Frey, who's going to put on this really fun session on putting the fun in fundamentals. And then also you all have an evaluation form, which I can collect and get in the session for even if you drop it off at the registration table.
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you so much. Okay, so I just want to apologize. You'll notice that Donna's not here. Unfortunately, she had a family emergency this morning and called me frantically, and I said, that's no problem. We will still have fun, I promise, or at least we'll try, right? So just keep her in
That's
your
why
thoughts.
I'm here, just as, you know,
That's
more
right.
support. Yeah.
Mindy's the second part of
I
that
won't
today.
be the fun, exciting person Donna is, so you'll miss out on that. And I don't know anything about the presentation, so I'm just literally here. It'll be fun.
Well, we came up with this idea, as we know, with the co-rec instructors. We came up with this idea that we needed to present some of the best practices that we've been using since we kind of got handed the co-recs, right? So we reached out to some of our other colleagues and said, you know, what are some of the great things that you do in your classroom? So we put them together for you guys. I don't know if y'all are finding, but some of the stuff that our students come in not knowing in our co-recs can be rather stale, right? So it's, once again, we're doing worksheets, we're doing the same, you know, same thing over and over again in that 50-minute or however you have it planned at your campus. So however you're, you know, however you are facilitating these co-recs, we thought, okay, well, let's, instead of just sitting and doing more grammar worksheets or more sentence drills or, you know, just talking at them, let's get them involved and get them up and moving around. So that's what we've been working on at Tomball, especially. So here's these, I'm going to tell you when they're Donna's and when they're mine and when they're other people, okay? So this class introduction, actually, I really like this. This is one of Donna's. And unfortunately, because you know how PowerPoint can be fickle, I actually have to get out of PowerPoint each time to make the actual link work. I just don't want to jinx it. So this is actually Donna's getting to know you. She does this for her online and face-to-face students, and she makes her slide in Google Slides, gives them the link, and then they go in and they add theirs, and you can see theirs right here. So they're building that community. So the first thing we wanted to do with our students, because they are, a lot of times our co-rec students are coming in very sheepishly. You know, these are our former developmental students, and they're coming in and they may have not had a really great experience with English in their life, and we can certainly understand that, because that's the way I felt about math. Sorry, Mindy. But, you know, I hadn't really been that successful in an English classroom before, and now I have to take this class because they say I'm not ready truly for English yet. So this was a great community builder, and she just has them added to them. And it's just something a little bit fresher and fun, other than just doing it in D2L, right, in a discussion board, because they can add graphics and they can go back in and change something if they realize that maybe they didn't capitalize a sentence, or just a neat way, and they just tell something about themselves, and you can just see each of them, and they have to do some type of graphic. So I thought that was a really great idea, and I plan on using it, especially in my online co-rec class. The next one we have is
Can I ask a question? She says should be doing it in what? In Google Docs?
yes, in Google, you can do it in Google Docs or Google Slides. There's a Slides one as well. So it's if you go look on your, when you log into your Google, it'll have the different apps, and that's one of them you can do it in. All right. The next thing is the emojis for feedback. And she does this is a Donna thing too. She's been using this, and I know Latoya does it. You can do it online. You can have them just reply to an email or even a question or survey. And that way, they're taking those little risks, right? They're starting to take those little risks and start to trust you as an instructor. And then that can start to build the dialogue. You can email them back. She does it through email. She does it in discussion boards. And it's just something a little different. You can also do them with cards in the classroom. So how do you think you did on your essay number 3? And you just have them hold them up and they're facing you, so then you don't have to say, did you do well? You know, nobody raises their hand, right? Did you not do well? Whatever it may be. So those it's just a way for them to respond, and you can do it with all the different emojis, you know, you can pick what you want. Hopefully not the poop one, right? So, that might not be great. The e-maze, this is another really great, she just taught me about this one, the e-maze. And I'm gonna have to, I actually have to, the water starts playing. So let me do this one real quick. I've never heard of e-maze, but it's a great one for, let's see, no, I just messed it up. Hold on, do it right. It's a great one just for, instead of a PowerPoint over commas, right? So this one actually, it's like a 3D almost PowerPoint. And so she had created this one, and in a second, hear the water. So just like you're in the aquarium, and then it just goes through, and they can go through and watch this on their own, or you can do it, slow it down, pause it. You can set the timer, but it has this, it's just 3D, and it's just a lot of fun. It's going fast now, I know, we kind of did that on purpose, but. So you just put your rules in. You could even have the students create these on their own if you have access to a computer. That could be one of their assignments. Go in and break them up in groups and have them create a slide for this or make their own e-maze for whatever rule that they're assigned.
I know Donna makes them do a lot of what she duplicates. So if she's going to use e-maze, then she makes them do something in e-maze sort of back that way at her or for her. This way, it's not just her doing everything. I know that a lot of it's that you know, giving them the opportunity to express their learning.
Kinesthetic,
Yeah.
it's the tactile learning as well.
Thank you. Yeah, all of that stuff that they do in English that we don't do.
Yeah,
This wouldn't fly in
maybe.
On the foil method?
there. That's it. We could have water dripping on that too. I mean, they're drowning. It's not peaceful water.
The other thing that Donna does that she's really excited about too is the Flippity. And I remember, and maybe some of you can relate, in the early 2000s, everybody, all the instructors I knew had the Jeopardy game on some kind of PowerPoint. The person who owned that PowerPoint would share it with you, you would buy them Chick-fil-A, right? So I remember coveting, oh my God, the Jeopardy game, right? So you put your information in it. Well, Flippity, guess what, y'all? You don't have to go track down the person that has it anymore. Flippity actually does it for you. And let me show you real quick. It's called Flippity. And look at all these different options that you have. Flashcards, quiz show, that's the one that I'm going to show you. The random name picker, there's a scavenger hunt now. You can take a Google Doc and turn it into a scavenger hunt, which you can set up within the classroom. What I like about a lot of these, it's not going to take hours and hours to create. You can just take those basic concepts that we have and go plug them in and make it a little bit more interactive. So we don't have to come up, because I'm somewhat creative, but not that much, right? So I've got these great tools in my hand to go and, use them in whatever way I can. But let me show you this one. She really likes this one. And because she's found a way to do it, the students can do it on their own. As practice, they can do it as teams. And you go through and you just click each one, and it's just like a Jeopardy game. For 100 points, I'll take compound sentences. Let's try that. And then just click. And of course, she's tailored it to her instruction. So she does things by methods. And so this would be something that the students had already learned in a mini lesson, and then they're testing that knowledge, and they can do that in the classroom or at home. So she's got method 1 up here, and then it also keeps score for you. You can keep score and let the team know. So you can even do it in the classroom. So there's that. Going fast. All right, then the other thing we have is a group writing, and this is actually my wonderful colleague, Melissa Berga, who's sitting in the front row. I've taken your stuff and put it in Google Docs so everybody can have access, if that's okay. Okay. She said I could. Melissa, would you mind sharing, I hate to put you on the spot, I'm so sorry, but would you mind, since you're in here, would you mind sharing how you facilitate this?
Yeah, so it's, this is, if they have access to computers. So if you're in a room where they can work together. I put them in groups of 2, preferably, sometimes 3. And it's a review of sentence types and punctuating sentence types. So I want it to be open form in terms of what they write about. They can be creative with that, but I impose a structure on what kind of sentence to use and how to punctuate it. So they have to practice doing each time. So they all start with, I was reading a book. Oh no, when I was reading a book, when I looked up, there in the window I saw, and then they finish that sentence with whatever they want. So you'll have the students who will talk about a flying unicorn with, steam blowing from his ears, or something very practical. And they finish that first sentence, and then each sentence after tells them the second sentence has to be a compound sentence. You have to join it with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. The third sentence imposes a different structure, so they have to practice each sentence type with the various ways of forming them, but what they're writing about can be creative. And so ideally, when I have enough time, they go through all the sentences with that partner, and then they get up and move to a different computer and finish another group story. So they love that because they love destroying the story of the other group that started it and veering it off course, and then they go back and look at what people have done to their stories, and then I put them all up on D2L so they can access them. So it's just a more enjoyable way to practice writing those sentences and punctuating those sentences, and then their grade is attached to, did they punctuate it correctly, is it truly a complex sentence, that sort of thing.
And they're getting that grammar instruction that they need, right? They're getting the instruction they need. Plus, they're not just doing random sentences, right? So they're truly synthesizing and making it their own. And do you mind, I'm going to share some of the examples that we have.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually, she included examples. So, when you get this PowerPoint sent to you, you'll have all these links that you could go to, because I made this, of course, a public access. And so she's, one of them she has, I was reading a book, but I looked up there in the window, I saw a solid white cat with a black spot on its left eyes. Its eyes were deep blue and they were mysterious. Although it was quite dark, its face appeared clear as day. Our eyes met for just a moment. I could feel its curiosity building. It tilted its head slightly as I whistled softly. The cat put its paw against the window. Thus, paw.
Did they really use the word thus?
What's that?
Did they really use the word thus?
Well, because I give them a list of transitions, they bust out hence. They don't know what hence means, but they use it whenever, they're pretty sure that's the
Which I love that they're playing with
Right, or I give them feedback, hence doesn't work there, or.
Right, right, and because you're opening up that dialogue, and I'm sure, Melissa, did they truly do that correct, or was that teacher?
I edited what I sent you, but most of them would do it correct because they have the example sentence right on the paper that they're looking at, so they're just plugging their ideas into the structure. And I love semicolons, so we talk about them.
Yeah, well, I was to say, it gives you an opportunity to make semicolons
I take
exciting.
every opportunity I have to make semicolons.
Right. So, yeah, I can't wait to do this one because, I've noticed, and I don't know exactly what it is at your campus what structure you all have, but I noticed because I'm doing right now where I have the 1301 and then I have my co-rec students directly after, okay? So I have them for 15 minutes right after the class. And they're all pure co-rec students. So this is not heterogeneous in the group. These are all co-rec students. And, after an hour and 28 minutes of us doing all of the 1301 work, and then I've got us now, they're starting to their eyes are getting a little heavy, they're getting tired, right? And I've got a very small group, and I'm finding that they're skittish because they don't have that confidence yet, right? So these types of activities, they love them. They're out of their seats, they're doing the learning, and I'm not just projecting onto them, right? So I love this idea. Okay. Any questions or comments before I move on? No? Okay. I'll keep going. All right, so the next thing after the group writing, so we're still on the covering concept. Okay, so this is going to be a fun one. All right, so everybody gets an Easter egg. So I'm going to do y'all by 10. Let's see, I got 6 Easter eggs. So here's one. Do y'all mind just being a group right here and kind of getting together? There's your Easter egg. And I'll break y'all up. How about 3? And 3. And Here we go. Y'all do 2 and 2. And if you want to move up, feel free. All right, John? Okay, so y'all are together, Jeff.
You can just go around here, there's 4 in that group.
Okay. Here, do y'all want to do? Here. Okay, so when you open your egg, you're going to find a scrambled word. I want to see who can unscramble it first and describe the concept that that word represents. Are you ready? Set. Go. That's okay, go.
Unscramble the word and then what?
They're going to have to describe it for me. It's one word. Yes.
We got a hard one.
Yes. Y'all got it first. We got one. First place over here. And that's how we.
And that's our word.
Y'all got
Do you know the answers?
GENC.
And this is where the students get out their phone and find a descrambler on their phone.
Phones away. No, you're exactly right, because they have them now for
Oh, yeah, for everything.
It's one word. One word.
Yes.
You gave us a hard one.
I did. And you know what? I used a scrambler and I picked the hardest version of it.
ING. I'm thinking it ends in ING.
I know. Did you know that's exactly what it is? Is that what we said?
I got it.
I mean, that's just what it is, depending on what letters are left.
Inferencing. I think. Inference.
There's an N.
We saw it. It was hard, too.
I know, isn't that crazy? Donna did this for, one of the meetings that she did. Meetings and presidents and stuff. She did a thing like this.
And that's what's so great.
I'm horrible at this kind of
I'm glad I spent so much time doing this.
All right, if y'all don't mind joining me up
So
here.
you were good at it.
So, what Brian's group, y'all had it first. So then what you would do is you would ask the students, not just that they have to unscramble it, they have to be able to describe that concept for you. So it's something that you've already introduced. It's great for vocabulary, it's great for your reading terms at the beginning of the year or the semester when you're going over those, reading and writing concepts. So I'm going to pass it to you. And what does inferencing look like for you all? You won telling the class.
I mean, after seeing the lovely presentation that Brian and the rest, Brian and co. Presented in the last session, I think inference is all about reading comprehension. So reading carefully and trying to decipher what the author is saying, the author's purpose of what is actually said explicitly versus implicitly, so kind of gathering those inferences.
Okay, very good.
Using the evidence, making an educated guess.
Yes, that guessing it, right? Because it's not exactly, you're not summarizing. Yes. Anybody else? What does inferencing look for you? Who's our second group? I told you you were. Okay, Melissa, what might inferencing look like for you all?
Which is using evidence plus your prior knowledge too.
Prior knowledge, okay, that's another thing that we had talked about last class. Using the prior knowledge that we've already acquired about the subject and filling in those gaps. Excellent. And so that's how the conversation would go. So yes, Brian gave a great answer, but he might not have said everything. So that's why you want to give the students a chance to apply the concept and describe it the way they would describe it. So anyway, so that's the Easter egg scramble, or the egg scramble, as we like to call it. You could do it year long. You don't have to wait till Easter to do it, certainly. And candy's always a nice incentive. So anyway, so I do need my eggs back. Donna made me swear I'd bring the eggs back. So those are her glitter eggs. All right. And do I have everybody's tickets? I want to make sure I get your tickets. Okay, good. All right. So we're still on the covering concepts. We're still on the covering concepts portion. One of the concepts that my students have struggled with the most, especially right now during research paper time, right, is the in-text citations. And so I came up with the Spark video, which I was very nervous about doing it because I don't know about y'all, but I don't like listening to myself on video because I automatically start critiquing, and you know how that happens, right? So I'm going to take a risk and share my video with y'all that I made about in-text citations for my students, and then I'll share the game that we play right after it. But what I like about the video is that I make them sit there and take notes over what I'm saying, just very brief. It's a short video. And that way the students can watch it over and over again. I'll post it in DeepL. So if they have any questions, especially when they're trying to make those parenthetical citations in their papers, they can go back and watch Mrs. Ray's video. So, and please forgive me and indulge me. I was fortunate enough to go to the Astro spring training during spring break, and so it's all about baseball. I got baseball on the brain.
3 steps to crushing in-text citations. What is an in-text or parenthetical citation? Well, that's the information inside of the parentheses after a quote or paraphrase from evidence that you've selected for your research essay. A common question that many students ask are, why are these even necessary? Well, parenthetical citations within the text of your paper let your reader know when you've used information from another source. These citations help keep you from plagiarizing. Now you might be wondering, what do citations even mean? Well, a parenthetical citation corresponds to the actual source listed on your works cited page. And now we will learn how to create these citations in just 3 easy steps. Step 1. Step up to the plate. Choose your evidence and presentation type. One way to present your evidence is through the use of a quote. For example, this quote states, in quotation marks, "Quotations are effective in research paper when used selectively." Another way to present your evidence is through the use of a paraphrase. This example is a paraphrase of the quote that we just looked at. Within the research paper, quotations will have more impact when used judiciously. Step 2. Load up. Find your source information. What you will need to collect now is the author's last name, title of article or work, page or paragraph number. Pro tip, create and save your MLA citation now. That way you won't be scrambling for it later. Step 3, swing for the fences. Create your in-text citation. Now it's time to put it all together. First, you're going to take your evidence type, add a signal phrase if it's a quote, put the quote in quotation marks, of course, include the author's last name as the first thing in your parentheses, insert the page or paragraph number if the source provides them, end your parentheses, and then add your period. Here's a sample quote after we put it all together. Givaldi indicates, notice the comma, beginning, quotation marks. Quotations are effective in research papers when used selectively. Notice the end quotes, the page number, because we've already indicated the author, and then the period outside of the parentheses. Now we have the paraphrase example. Within the research paper, quotations will have more impact when used judiciously. Notice the parentheses, author's last name, page number, the ending parentheses, and then the period, again, outside the parentheses. Batter up. Now it's time to put all 3 steps together and crush those in-text citations. Directions. Now you will be divided into teams, and each group member will take a turn putting the 3 parts of an in-text citation together. You cannot move on to the next envelope until your answer has been checked for accuracy.
Okay, so, and of course I put my website at the end. Okay.
3 steps.
All right, so this was done through Adobe Spark, and I did put it on YouTube just because if y'all ever dealt with Adobe Spark, it tends to glitch and stuff when you try to show it. It's hard, right? So I just put it on my YouTube, so anybody can access this, and you all have the link there to access this. Now, I was really scared about doing the video because, you know, anything new might take you hours. This was my first time ever doing one. It made me divide out my instruction, which was great, right? I knew all these things, I just didn't have a great pattern. And our co-ed students need the 3 easy steps. They need, you know, the 4 steps to this. We need, for those fundamentals, we need to really break those down. So it forced me to do this for my students, which was great, right? So I kind of thought of my concept, and then Adobe Spark leads you through it. It's absolutely wonderful. And yeah, it may have taken me 3 or 4 hours to do this one, but now I feel like I can just, you know, crank them out now that I've done this first one. And yes, you'll listen to yourself and be like, oh no, why did I pause there? That sounds ridiculous. But you can re-record just for that one slide. And so then you just put it on, you could be taking attendance right now, whatever you need to do, and then have the students watch it, plus they'll have access to it outside of the classroom as well. So then the next thing I had the students do, and we actually did it this week, and I wish I would have taken pictures of them doing it so I could show you. But let me bring this up. Y'all, I'm giving you the Google Doc as well in the PowerPoint, so you will be able to access this later. But on the Google Doc, I actually have the lesson plan for y'all. So all the materials that you need, right? And then if you go down, I even put, this is the worksheet that I give the students. So this is the actual student handout, and it somewhat follows the video, but I don't really like to do it before the video. I hand it out after the video so that they have the steps again, right? And then on the other side, I created examples of those odd things, right, about citations. So, you know, more and more with our electronic sources, we don't have page or paragraph numbers, right? So that gives them an example of what to do in case there isn't one. So they've got these examples before we play the game. We go through each one. The author is unknown, quotes within a quote. Let's see, what's my last one? Works with 2 or more authors. So as you can imagine, all of these envelopes have one of these types of quotes that they're going to have to create. So what I do is I have up to 4. This is my number 4, and I, of course, left them in my office, but so I made it a semi one today. But I actually printed them out and put them on cardstock. And at the top has the quote, so it'll have the quote or the paraphrase. So whatever the evidence is taken, then it'll say create a quote or create a paraphrase. Number 1. The second step is the actual text taken from the evidence, and I went and chose stuff that was going around here in Houston, within the last couple of weeks, right? And so there's stuff about the fires and all of that. Then I gave them the works cited citation. I went ahead and gave it to them so that they would have to go draw the information out, the page number, the authors, or the lack of an author, right? And then their next step is to make the actual quote with the parenthetical citation. And I use big butcher paper, and I have an interactive room, so we had those big whiteboards that they can just work on at their desk. You could also have them just write it on paper. You don't have to have a big sheet of paper. And they were together working, had the worksheet. Okay, let's see, no, wait, arguing about it. I mean, it was a beautiful thing, right? For an English instructor, it's a beautiful thing. The when students are this involved in in-text citations. And then they, and then they go, oh, we got it, we got it, we got it. And I'd run over there and I'd look at, and, you know, and where is it, where is it, where is it? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Look at the sheet, look at the back of the sheet. And so then they would start to finish them, and it gave me an opportunity. I noticed if they couldn't get it right, that I could go over there and give some more instruction. Now let's look. The page number says 1. You've got to put it in there. You can't just pretend there's no page number, right, in your actual in-text citation. So the most wonderful thing that came out of all of this, besides them getting their hands dirty, right, and actually doing the activity, was I had students asking for more envelopes. Do you have any more of those envelopes? Are we getting any more? Of course, you know, after I picked myself up off the floor. So this really was a great activity, and I wanted to share it with you all, and you can have access to everything. And then I just went to the dollar store, bought some envelopes, got some cardstock, printed out some examples, and you know, I mean, it maybe took me 30 minutes, but this is something I would use over and over again each semester. And I'm sure there's a way we could figure out as well, if you, in D2L, if you're teaching an online co-rec, as to set up the groups, right? And they can post them in the discussion boards and go back and forth, or create a Google Doc. So there are other ways to do this where they're working in groups and not just on their own, because that discussion is what I loved. No, wait, she said, did you hear in the video? No, she said right here, look, you can, and you know, that's priceless for us, right, as English instructors. So please feel free to borrow or ask questions or whatever you need as far as that one is concerned. Are there any questions for that one? Yep, okay. I was afraid we wouldn't have time, or I would have made y'all do it. Okay, so the next thing is the, so now we're going to move on to coaching writing activities. And a great way to do this is to, and I'm sorry, I have to move all my slides up here, but a great way to do this is using Canva. Has anybody ever used Canva before? Canva, C-A-N-V-A? Okay, this is great because you can create your own infographis. So instead of just giving a student a regular white worksheet with black writing, you can actually go in and create an infograph that, let's see. So this is the website. I just wanted to make sure y'all knew the website. Canva, and you can go in there, you can create flyers, it's free. I use it for my son's baseball team as well. And then you can click on it, sign up, click on it, and then you can create a flyer. This is one that Donna did for the writing process, and she did it specifically for her students. And you can actually have your students create these as well for any type of essay process that you have in your classroom. So maybe you have a specific process for writing an expository essay or a visual rhetoric essay. You could actually have the students go in and put what they did for their process, or you could make this, and it's a checkoff sheet for them to follow as they're going through the writing process. So those are just ideas, because you can do it or the students can do it. She did it, step 1, read the prompt, and then brainstorm a list of ideas pertaining to the topic. And a lot of times that's just what these students need. They just need a plan. You know, they look at the essay prompt and they're, I don't even know where to start. Well, here's a plan. So let's go through our plan. Where are you on your plan? Oh, you're in step 3? Okay, good. What do you need help on in step 3? And that's helping them to create those questions that they may not, those critical thinking questions about their own writing that they may not be able to create on their own. And then you go to step 2, circle the ideas from the brainstorm list you want to use and write a topic or a thesis to sentence. And then step 3, use the major details in your topic or thesis sentence and write an outline. Step 4, follow your outline, write your first draft copy. And these are already templates that you just go fill in, so you don't even have to come up with the cute little graphics and put them in there. And then revise and edit some more. And then step 6, submit your paper on time. But you can, I have a different one for the research paper. Mine has more steps in it. I think I even put in there, go visit the writing tutor. I think that's one of my steps as well. So this is just a great thing, and there's so many things you can do with this. You just type in education, it's just taken, and these don't take long. That's really great. I mean, you already know this, you've told them 100 times, right? But it's on an infographic. Woo! Wow, look at this. These are great ideas, okay? So it's just a new way to present that information. Any questions on this one? Yep, okay. Okay, so the Padlet, are y'all familiar with Padlet at all? Oh, I love Padlet, okay. So let me show you Padlet. Donna does it for one assignment, I do it for a different assignment. Let's see. Okay, so this is Donna's assignment. What Padlet is, Padlet.com, I like to describe it as a bulletin board or a whiteboard, where you're writing all your ideas down, but here you're doing it digitally. And what's great is you can attach video, graphics, you can even upload instructions for an essay. She does this she makes it a class discussion, and they can either do it for homework the night before if you have a face-to-face class, or they can do it through D2L, just put the link in there. But she has them answer a question, and then they have just to get them to start thinking about the persuasive essay that they're going to have to write. So how has modern technology positively or negatively impacted people's lives? And you can open this up and then have them post their idea or their opinion on this, and then they had to add some type of evidence or something that they've read that shaped how they feel about that. So you can even do a video if you wanted to. So try to think of specific ideas and share them in this forum, either as a comment, upload a video, photo, or a linked article. Use your own ideas or ideas from this forum for the writing process, modern technology assignment, and try to think of all types of technology, internet, social media, cell phones, electronic games, etc., in discussing this topic. So then you have all of this right here, which then you can open up the next day in class and start the discussion again, instead of them just sitting there going, yeah, we did it. It gets those dialogues started, right? And they can pull it up on their phone as well. If you break them up into groups, they can pull it up and look at it as well. So these are really easy to make. And if you click this plus button right down here, that's how you start adding to it. You can also share them, and I'll show you in just a second how I do it that way. But see, you can just add it. You can type, cell phones, whatever it may be. And then they are addictive, right? Make sure I spelled it right. And then I can decide what I want to do. Look at all those different options. Isn't that amazing? So you can snap, you can Google, you can go in and do a Google search, cell phones. So images comes up first, but you can go to the web. Of course, right, unlocked a new contract. Automatically start trying to sell me a cell phone. That says something, right? Cell phone addiction. See? All right, so then we start with 7 scary things. Ooh, okay, so health.com. So then you can show them, okay, let's pick out a relevant source or a reliable source. Do we know site guides? I don't know that yet. I have to research that. You can even use that to help them decide what is a relevant source, right? And then they can just attach it to their post.
And you have to make an account first to use this? Or?
Yes, you need to make an account. It's super easy. And then you get up to, I think, 10 free Padlets a year, but you just erase one or save it, and then if you're running out. So I haven't had to pay for it yet. So, and then you can just move them all around. And I don't do the anonymous thing, but if you want to protect, who's doing what, then you can certainly do that. Okay, so that's how she uses it. Now I use it a little bit differently. I use it for my research essay outline. And I have students actually remake this. So once they sign up, they remake this. And I did a little video for my online students, and I posted for my face-to-face students as well. But I do take them through this process of doing this. And once they're signed in, there's a remake button right here, and you just click it, and it will remake this one, and you can use it for yourself. So I have students remake this outline so that they can start their pre-writing. I already have the essay directions up there so they can go back to them. I have the primary source listed as well so that they'll remember that they have to use the primary source because it's in the direction. And they also have to then go get their 3 secondary sources. So it's up to them. And what's so great about this, and really helps my students that have trouble with organization, is that they can keep everything in one place. They know where it is. They're not going to this site, printing this article. Everything's together. And so they can go on here and they can actually upload their articles that they've gotten off the research database. It's all right here. And just streamlining that process has really helped my students, co-rec or not. And so then they can add their articles right there. Then I had, we work on our thesis statement. I want them to know their opinion, the research topic question, they know that. And then I've added these, and these are so easy to add. You just click on them and, oh, I'm not signed in, that's what it is. Okay, so these are so easy to add once you're signed in, is you can just draw the arrows and click them together. Or let's say they're struggling with their opinion on subtopic number 1, so they can draw an arrow to remind themselves. They can even change the color of the arrow to remind themselves that they need to work some more and fine-tune their subtopic number 1. But the outline is there. Everything that's required of the essay is there. Their opinion is right here, so now we just need to make it into a formal thesis statement. And I actually have them post their link to their Padlet in the discussion board, both my face-to-face and online students, and then we go through and they pull them up, and then I have a directive, something to directly look at, so I can have that conversation with them and say, show me what you got. Well, I don't really have anything. No, you do have something, or if you don't have something, I see that, right? So, and then I've just got, just breaking it down. You need a hook, you need a general statement, you need that transition statement, you need your thesis statement, and exactly what they need in each paragraph. And this is really, I've had so many students, this has helped me so much, Mrs. Wright, just breaking it down and being able to see. And then they get to also have those victories. Oh wow, I'm already to subtopic number 2. I can't believe this. I'm just chugging along, and it builds that confidence in them. And then I did include this. This is one of the articles that they've gone and found on the New York Times, and they had an idea that they wanted to use this for their subtopic number 3. So it doesn't matter where they are, they can just go get an idea for subtopic 3 and then add those on there, and then decide from there what they want to write about. And then I included my conclusions handout. If I see that students are struggling with the conclusion, or I think, wow, they really need this for that assignment, I'll just put them on there as well so that they'll have it. So this is Padlet, and it's just a great resource to use, and I never thought I'd be using this because I loved having the note cards and everything laid out for students, but this has been really successful. So please feel free. You're going to have the link. You can use mine. You can also go and create your own ones. They've got some really great backgrounds and just some fun icons and stuff you can add to them.
Ginger.
Yes.
Just so I'm clear, what do you mean when you say you have to remake that?
Okay, let me show you, because I can easily show you that. So this is out there for the public, right? So when you make it, let me just sign in real quick. Hopefully I won't say my password out loud. I'm known to do that. I don't know if you've ever done that. Okay, so this is what it comes up to like when you first log in. You have your own Padlets, and these are the different ones that I've created, right? And so when I was coming up with the in-text citations lesson, I actually used Padlet to organize my ideas for that and decide how I was going to present that. But there's all these different, you can go look at the gallery, you can find other people's, or you can just make one. So let's say I wanted to, now that I'm signed in, let me click on this one. Okay, see, the remake button came up. See how this button's right there? Okay, so we've got the remake button. So you can post a link of your Padlet, because when I made this, I set it to public, and then you just hit remake, and you can click right here, and you can click copy design. Just make sure the students copy post too. And then it makes their own, and they can edit their own. That way they're not editing on yours. And so you can also protect it as well as to, let's see, hold on real quick. Under the gearbox, so this is all my design right here. See, you can even make sure there's no profanity, which is always nice. Let's see, share. I guess when I first set it up, okay, here we go. People and privacy. So you can choose if you want to make it password protected so only your students use it. I just put it to the public, and then you can limit what they can do to it, which is important because they'll start posting on yours. So you need to make sure, can read and not write, so that way they don't start messing up yours. And then remake, of course, you have to turn it on so they can remake it.
So basically, remake means they copy it and then they can edit that.
Absolutely. So it's a living, breathing outline.
That is not worse.
Right, it's the templates, Mama. Right. So, great question. Okay, so. Then, let's see. Okay, this is another great one. The coaching, the color coding. I have never done this before. Now that I've seen it done, this is a Donna thing. I want to be able to do this one. I think it's excellent. What she does is she actually has her students, and they go to the lab to do this for her face-to-face class. She gives them specific colors for each part of whatever the assignment may be. So your intro needs to be this color, topic sentence this color, your first major point green, your second major point blue, and your third major point, I can't tell what color that is, like a brown, right? It's like a brown. And then their conclusion is, so she did this was actually, I think they were writing a short paragraph and then they're going to turn it into an essay. And so she wanted them to take what they've done in their pre-writing and start working on it, seeing the organization and working on the organization. And I thought this would be great. You can even do this with highlighters. If you have some highlighters and you go to the dollar store, get some highlighters and break down, okay, this, because then they're taking out the stuff that doesn't need to be in the essay or where they get off topic, or you can say, no, this should be down here. So I really like this idea of the color coding rather than just looking at the black and white all the time, having that color option. And you can even cut these apart and have students cut them apart and move them around. I had a professor do that one time. And just, okay, look, this doesn't even go with this paragraph. You could take this piece of that out and put it in that paragraph. And that way, once again, they're getting their hands dirty and working with the text. You could also do this for your online class as well, and just have them upload it to the discussion board and review it with them.
Peer review, they can take someone else's paragraph and see if they can, as a reader, easily find those parts. And if not, maybe the author has not.
Ooh, I like that one. Have somebody else color code it for you.
And then discuss, I can't tell this.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. And you'll notice that in her thesis, she has them coded as well. The first major point, second, and third, so that each major point going to relate back up to that thesis statement. And this is on there as well for you guys. Y'all can access this and use it as a sample when you're showing your students. All right, the final thing, and we're going to have some more fun, is the essay outlining with sidewalk chalk. And I have sidewalk chalk for our drawing. This is something that Donna came up with, and I'm going to actually do it next week. Take my students outside. Now ask your campus though. Get permission from your campus to draw all over their sidewalks. Don't tell them Ginger Frey said you could. Please. Because that was my first question to her. When she told me she did something, I said, who did you ask? She's like, they said I could, it was no problem. I'm like, okay. So I guess your dean?
That was my pay grade. Facilities probably is who you need to ask.
Okay.
More than anything, I would say facilities.
Okay.
Somebody said that they did this and it didn't rain for like months. So
no.
there was chalk all over the sidewalk with no rainwater, but it should wash off pretty quickly in our area.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
especially
last.
lately in April, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually had my son do this because I hadn't had a chance to do it. She didn't take pictures when she did it. And I'm so sorry. I look at this and I go, oh my gosh, I have got to power wash this weekend. I'm so embarrassed. But this was the best one I could get yesterday. But, so I actually, and let me see if I can make that, if I can make that bigger. So that, let me just do this frame. Okay, so, let's see, is there a way to zoom in? Let's see. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I had him do his he's in 6th grade. So I said, remember that essay that you wrote? Let's break it down. And this would have been great when I was working with him on this essay as well, because he loved it. And and love just being able to draw up the ideas. So you could do this with pre-writing, take them outside, have them, write it out, what they're going to write about, or if they've already working on their essay organization, you can have that as well, and making their outline. So that, you can't see that, but right here where the little magnifying glass, it says intro, and it says, let's see, membership, Diamond, it's supposed to be Diamond Elite membership of Six Flags. So he wrote about his persuasive paper, why everybody should purchase a Diamond Elite membership to Six Flags, okay? Or get a membership to Six Flags, he has to type, because there's a payment. And so, this first one was over here, and it was, let's see, he did it in red, let's see. Not parking. Oh, fast pass. Oh, you get fast pass, so you get to move up in the line, right? And then we drew an arrow. I said, okay, so draw an arrow. Where are we going to put your second idea? He said, I want to put it at the bottom. I said, okay, fine. So the second thing is you get 50% off at all of the gift shops, right? At Six Flags if you have this membership. So he liked that because then he could get his little photos and everything else. So, and then the third thing is you get the parking right by the front gate. So that was pretty impressive for him that we got the park right there. So these were his three main ideas. Of course, then I could take these and make a thesis statement. We could work on his thesis statement. And then his conclusion, so we're using the arrows, and then his conclusion, I didn't just want him to rehash the thesis statement. I wanted him to go ahead and, review your experience, just give a little bit more detail. So we talked about that. It's just getting those conversations started. And hopefully you'll have a nice enough day that you can do this and get the permission to do so. So anyway, so let's do our drawing to get your sidewalk talk. I'm out of time, y'all. I so appreciate everything.
I don't have your name in.
I'm so sorry. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'm going to email everybody a copy of this PowerPoint so you'll have it. Okay?